What's up everyone? So last video we finally got started on our DN1 twin turbo, and we actually got our engine dropped in the car officially. As you can see, we now have a high compression twin turbo 300ZX. So basically what we did here is we put an NA engine with all turbo mods, accessories, and stuffed it back in a turbo car. So in other words, we have to run E85 to reduce the chance of detonation from the high compression, so we can run boost safely and more responsively on top of that. I can't remember if it was last video, a couple videos ago, we actually pulled out a full Viper alarm system out of this, which is still just chilling up here. Bunch of garbage. And we've officially stripped everything down to its factory rendition, or at least how it's going to be when we go to sell this car. This is actually a 1995, so it is a little bit rarer for production numbers, and they actually have seat belts up here instead of on the door. Pretty neat, right? This video, we have every intention of getting this car finished. In other words, we're getting this thing ready so we can sell it. There's a handful of things for us left to do, like we got to plumb a boost controller. We also have all fluids to top up, and honestly just super small things like the exhaust, time the car, clean the car, sweep it, the basics. So that's pretty much what we're going to cover this video, and we're going to get this thing done enough that we can post it online, see what people think, test the waters, test some offers, see what we get before we actually put a price on it. Reason being, I'm not going to go spend $1,000 on this car to get it registered if I can't sell it whole. It just doesn't make any sense. If worse comes to worse, we'll part it out, we'll make our money back. And then a little bit, I'd obviously rather not part it out, because then you just sell it, get all this stuff out of my way instead of having to stock all my shelves. And then, as much as you guys have been inquiring about parts for this, not yet. We'll wait and see. Speaking of Z parts, I actually ship, part out, buy, sell, trade, anything Z related, if you guys couldn't ever tell from my yard, I guess you could say. So let's head up to the post office, let's send this up to Chicago, and let's come back and let's get started on our Z. So I think the first thing that we're going to start with is we're going to swap these two boost hoses around, because I'm pretty sure they're different, or they're wrong, because you can see it's actually bumping into the fuse box cover. So we'll swap those around. I actually need to take this side off so I can find the hood latch sensor. It appears I forgot to hook it up and it's just dangling down there. Whoops. At least we noticed it before we got like too far, you know. Turns out I'm silly and they were on the right side. It just turns out that this pipe back here, the outlet hose from the turbo, is actually pushed over a little bit because of this J30 tab that I forgot to trim off. Still fits, it's just a little wonky. Cattywampus, whichever you prefer. Now let's move on. Oh, we did pull this up, by the way. We managed to snake that dude out. I think we're actually going to get under the car now so we can put some engine mount nuts on it, tighten up our alternator belt, because this thing's getting squeaky whenever we fire it up, like it was in my slick top. And I checked belt deflection, and yeah, we definitely need to tighten that thing up a bit. Before we get under there, give us a little bit of room to get on it, or under the car, not on it. What am I thinking? Just take the bumper off. This flat tire is really taking all of my room under here. Engine mount nuts, maybe. There we go. Starting to wonder if it wasn't going to thread. So here I just went and grabbed my 14 mil, about to tighten down these engine mount nuts, and I just noticed something. What the heck is going on right here? Someone has put two panels in here. Why? That's so strange. Now that that's all done, let's check our list and see what's next. Oh yes, I completely forgot. We actually have a hose clamp down here that is completely tightened, that is actually not tight enough, and it's the one right down here. This hose is actually a little too long, and we had to like force it down, so it's constantly pushing up. So we're actually going to pull this off, trim the hose, or see if we can just push it on farther, and we're going to swap out that hose clamp. But first we're actually going to have to pull these off to get a little bit more room. Maybe we don't have to, but anything helps. I actually just swapped out the hose clamp, or actually the bolt in the hose clamp. It's no longer the skinny little 8mm, it's actually a 10mm. Well, actually it looks like that's an 8mm. We actually upgraded to a 10mm, so it has longer range. So it's like longer and has more biting force. So I think now the last thing we're gonna do before we actually, you know, pack up for the day, because Gabby wants to eat Mexican and I can't disagree with that. So we're actually just gonna mount this PTU back here, since I just kind of have it hanging out the way. Looks like it goes this way. Well, now that those couple things are checked off the list is probably half as big as it was. Before we keep trekking on, let's actually go eat some Mexican food, and hopefully we can make it back in time before it rains so we can start again. It's now the next day, and we're actually going to start off with getting the exhaust off, because we have this one right here to put on. I have pretty much a brand new Megan 2+0 exhaust, because I want this ready for my slick top. So I can't let it go and sacrifice it, so let's take it off. Let's swap it out. We've actually been doing a flooring side job the past couple of days, so that's why we're getting such late starts here. It appears I already got these two off, so those 12mm are done. It looks like we just need to go to the back, potentially take the ones off up here, and then we'll just pop the rear ones out, because the other exhaust actually has some right there, as you can see. So we just have to bolt that up and actually trim these off. No idea why. So that means we just got to poke these in and then bolt that. I'm honestly not looking forward to this. I hate messing with exhaust on Z's, especially when you're laying underneath the car. It's just not enjoyable. I'm just gonna get my pain and suffering out the way here. Now in this situation, I'm 100% positive this is the guy she's telling you not to worry about. You've just got to have really large quad tips if you're gonna pull it off. I mean, yeah, they're big, but I don't know. I guess they don't poke out enough for me. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, they look good, definitely compared to OEM. I mean, I guess a little bit bigger. I don't know how I feel about them. We actually have Megan test pipes here too that we went ahead and put on. Got all torqued up, metal gaskets, and we actually put our tunnel brace on down there. Now, that means in theory, we're done underneath the car. So as we lift this thing up to put it back on the ground, I'm actually taking these wheels. I really want some twin turbo wheels. They got a little bit more dish to them. They look so much better. I don't know. So I'm gonna take them, but we're actually gonna be swapping them out. I think, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna be swapping them out over here on this white Z. Yeah, take that wheel, because I'm taking you. Dang, it looks like all the wheels were mix matched on that other side. I switched this one so that way it would actually be the correct wheel, but it looks like we're gonna have to switch it again. So if you didn't know, this little scoop right here is actually supposed to go forward, so it scoops air into your brakes and cools them off. Alright, so now I'm gonna show you guys something that maybe you've never seen, maybe you have. This right here, you can tell this is the wrong side because it has an R. That means it's for the right side. Since it scoops, you know, they actually have part numbers for the correct sides. Now this one should say left. Yep. There it is. So if you didn't know, now you know. Now I'm thinking it's probably time that we start topping up all of our fluids, burping coolant, timing this thing. Forgot we have to time it still. So before we fire it up, we'll actually hook up our inline spark plug wire, and we'll put the timing light on that instead of using our PTU loop here, so we get a solid reading and an accurate reading at that. Plug it into the coil pack, hook up our induction pickup facing the right way. You see the arrow, follow the current. And we're going to wait to hook these up on the jump pack, since we actually have to jump this to start it. But before we start, make sure you're set your advance to 0, so that way you're not actually reading 25 when it's actually reading 0, because you have it advanced 25 degrees. Been there, done that. Now before we fully start, let's put about 2 quarts in here of just straight antifreeze, and then we'll fill it the rest of the way up with some distilled water. Fingers crossed this thing's actually charged enough. Please have enough charge. There we go. Dang, is that quiet? That's cool, it revved itself for me. Let's just shut all this off, wait a little bit. Oh, taking some coolant now. Oh, there's a hose clamp we forgot. And then let's check our oil. Well, it's actually 2 days later. We got home from work yesterday. We got the job done. We got the floor all done, torn out, put back in. Payday today. So now we can start on our Z and get this thing officially done. So I can't remember exactly where I left off. I think we were about to fire it up. Well, trust me, we fired it up and we discovered another issue. I know, I love it. Well, our issue is I'm not sure how well you guys are gonna be able to see. Right there, well, it's all wet. Turns out that power steering leak that we thought we had wasn't a power steering leak. Made sense because there's no power steering in the system, like no fluid. Well, unfortunately, I think we may know the problem. Basically what I told you guys not to do, I'm pretty sure I actually did. Maybe you can see that hose, that thing's soaking wet. So what I'm thinking is we have a compromised hose somewhere, and when we fire it up, it's spraying all of our oil all over the rail. So we have to fix that. First, we need to figure out which one it is. And at this point, maybe the best way to figure that out is to start the thing and see where it's leaking. Got some kind of jet flying over top. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm sure you can hear it. It's pretty rad. Hopefully there's no reasoning for that. Now, jump packs are on. Let's fire this thing up and let's look for our pesky leak. Oh, clutch. There we go, we need to hurry. We don't want to make more of a mess. Okay, it is the power steering. Sweet. Looks like we're just changing hoses completely. Oh, that had me worried. What I think's happening here is this system all previously had actual power steering fluid versus automatic transmission fluid like you're supposed to have. So I'm thinking that's where I'm getting that brownish, you know, not red, but kind of like E85 tinge oil color. That's kind of what I was seeing, so I assumed it was oil. Okay, looks like we're re-pulling this. And since this thing is literally just peeing everywhere, like it's just splattering, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a donor over here off of this car. But we actually have a brand new red silicone hose that we can utilize. Look at all that fungus under this car. It's like white. That's sweet. So we got our hose off, but we actually just cleaned it up, rinsed it out with some water. Now we're going to let it dry out before we actually put it on the system. Potentially, while we wait for that to dry, we may move to the next on the list, which we need to check. So it appears that most of the things we have to do actually pertain to the car running. So let's get underneath the car. Let's check a few things out. Make sure we have no leaks. Make sure everything's looking good to go. So we can actually fully move on by putting our power steering on, starting this up, and bleeding fluids. Trusty old mat. Oh, this mat is hot. One thing we did have that was leaking was that oil line. Turns out it was the hard line beside it. You see it's a little wet, but we tightened that up and now we have no leaks. So that's one thing off the list. Sweet. But another thing I really don't like is how low this car is and how it's touching me while I'm laying under it. Makes me feel a little claustrophobic, so let's get out. Because if this thing falls on the ground at all, I'm done. As much as I love Z's, I don't want to go out like that. So I did find oil over there, and it's got me a little worried. It's on the passenger side, but it's on the intake or the outlet part of the turbo. So pretty much I'm getting oil like right here at the very bottom of that on the turbo. And it's kind of dripping down onto my oil cooler line, so I'm not really sure where that's coming from. It does have me a little worried. If that is something serious that I can't figure out, I'm not pulling all this back out to fix it. We're just gonna part the car out. I'm sorry, but way too much work for me to, you know, just put everything to the side, fix that. I mean, it's just not practical. I'm not doing all this again. I'm getting my money one way or the other. Yep, we're all dried out. We're good to go. Line's on. Bad news. I guess I could have figured this out beforehand. I see why it was acting the way it was when it was tight. I just tightened the top clamp, left the bottom one pretty much loose, and we're still leaking, but it wasn't as bad. Guess what I found? That hard line right there? Yeah, that thing's cracked. How does that even happen, dude? How? That is so stressful because now I have to find an extremely long line, so hopefully we can go down and cover that, or we're crap out of luck. I literally don't know what I'm supposed to do here. That's so frustrating because if you guys know, to change that line, you have to take everything out. Intercooler piping, radiator. So basically that hard line runs up here, in front, right across here, up, and right there. I know it can definitely be done, but it's like, man, that's so much work now that we just tacked onto this that it's sickening. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just call this terrible news on my end. I don't know why I'm looking at it so badly. It's just because we're so close to getting done, and then we got this huge setback. I think we're gonna start tearing all this off. We're gonna set you guys up on a mount somewhere, and then we're gonna try out a time lapse, which, you know, last video I tried to put one in after buying some licensing. Apparently I didn't do it right, something yada yada. We got hit with a copyright strike. We didn't actually get a copyright strike. The video was demonetized, basically, is what I'm saying. So we ended up switching that up to kind of a bad rough edit from a YouTube free music and, you know, turn that around. But this time we're going to try to come correct and do this right. Someone keeps walking in front of the camera. It's actually her 5th birthday today. Big birthday girl. Well, would you look at that, what we finally got out. But we actually had to bend the living crap out of it just to get it out. Now to find another one. I'm really not looking forward to putting it back in, considering how tough it was to come out. So we just pulled these 2 intercooler pipes out, so we get all the room that we'll need here. And we actually pulled our carbon canister hard line. Since we finally took everything out, we could actually do so efficiently. It appears this one's a little kind of bent and out of whack. Should work though, considering we had a turbo swap in here. It's good enough for me. We've now got our hard line all pulled out, ready to go over here. Forget this old line, hunk of junk. Let's just give you guys the quick treatment so we can get this over with. I'm ready to get this car done so badly. Well, we've got it all back together. I've had it idling for a little bit now. We're not leaking power steering anymore. We've got it topped up, bled, whatnot. We're timed to 15 degrees before top dead center. Well, we got an idle issue. We probably need to adjust the TPS and the idle air control. But we're actually smoking really bad back here. I'm not even sure why. I can't see anything. I'm just a little bothered right now. So I guess we'll just shut it off. We'll get under it, see if we see anything, and see if we're screwed or if we can move forward, hopefully. This car is taking a lot more from me than I thought it would. Sorry about the mower, if that bothers you guys. Shouldn't be too much longer. Still got some smoke billowing out. I don't know if it's just gaskets. I mean, I did gaskets on both sides. I would think that both sides would smoke instead of just one. I'm not really seeing anything on the turbos. Last thing I want is to have like wiring or something smoking, getting burned up. I'm not really seeing a leak anywhere. It's still burning pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see it from right here, but I still see it billowing out. I hate stuff like that. Makes me worried. Part of me is really just hoping it's gaskets, because I'm just baffled why one side smokes and one doesn't. I hope there's not like a bad O2 bung or something. I've had that happen before. That wasn't fun. I don't know. Let's do a little bit of more option weighing, and we'll see what we can come up with. Alright, you guys. Unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to call it here. this is just taking too long. It's taking too much. There's just too many things after things going wrong. Let's just say we've got one more shot at this. Maybe tomorrow we come out here, try to fire it up, see if we can minimize the smoke, figure some things out, and move on, because I can't just sit here and keep working on something if I'm not getting any progress on it. Yeah, I know it's super dumb to just part it out for something like that, but at the same time, it's a rebuilt title. This car was absolutely creamed in the rear. I seen all the repairs. That bothers some people. Honestly, they did a better job repairing it than they did from the factories, but that's not just enough to cut it for me to say, all right, let's keep it. Register it, pay $1,000, title it, then sell it. So there's just too much risk in it for me. I know we want to save them all. The chassis will probably live on. Yeah, I think we may just part it out if things don't go well tomorrow. So stay tuned. You guys will definitely be the first to know if we or how we make up our mind. This is a big bummer. I was really hoping things would go a little bit better for us today, but unfortunately they didn't. Or I guess the past couple of days. But really today with that power steering line, we did all that work and we're still not even making progress on the car. Full day down the drain, but whatever. We'll catch you guys in the next one. If you guys like the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below, and stay tuned for the next video. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.